So everybody's talking about the situation with Godfrey and Akbar, Gbajabiamila. You know, he's a former defensive end for the Green Bay Packers. He was a pretty good player. Both of these brothers are Nigerian. You know, the foundational Black community, we have a lot of love for Godfrey, because one thing Godfrey does is he does stand up for us. You know, in our history, he does. You know, he's educated because he was raised here. Some like Michael Blackson, you know, they became very funny comedians because they've been raised in foundational Black American culture. Now, today they had a brother sitting there, a foundational Black American brother. And I just feel like sometimes when we had these conversations, they need to go get the FBA guys. You have critique and you say that foundational Black Americans are divisive, but you don't bring in the foundational Black American people, the intellectuals that can come down and break down the situation. There was a lot of things in this conversation that was left out, and I feel like, again, it went to a one-sided conversation. Godfrey a little bit brought it back, you know what I mean, you know, a little bit, but the FBA brother, man, it seemed like to me he was more on the Pan-African side of things and not really dealing with things in honesty. Like the conversation wasn't based off of honesty on both sides, right? So let's get off into it, and we'll like, you know, I'm gonna break this stuff down, man, you know, as we go along.
All expressed. And so today I'd love to be able to dig into some of the stories behind why these conversations exist, why they're important, and why they're so hard to have.
Yeah. I think I'll start it off with this. So Godfrey and I, we were having this conversation about, you know, whether or not there was a beef or what I called a misunderstanding in the Black community between Black immigrants and
foundational Black Americans.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that term.
It's divisive, but
we'll get into it. We're going to get into it.
Yeah.
But we were having this discussion, and so.
But see, people keep saying it's divisive, but I understand it, right? Well, I you know, and this is the thing where I'm saying the conversation is not being had on good faith, because these are three educated Black men here, and there's never been a unification. They know that Africa's not unified. They know that in America, a lot of these different groups are not unified. So how is foundational Black American, which term is very new, divisive, when there was never a cohesive group working together in the first place? But let's continue.
So I'm like, all right, I'm here and we're going and we're agreeing back and forth, and I'm going, wait, but there's one side that needed to be represented and heard. And so Godfrey was giving obviously his side. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in agreement. This is everything that I grew up learning about from my teachers, from Mrs. Avion to Dr. Shepard, who was my elementary principal. So all of this stuff I was familiar to. So you were preaching essentially to the choir, and I'm going, amen, amen. All right, but what about this?
Yeah.
And so my interjection into the appreciation of Black immigrants, African immigrants, was really kind of from the standpoint of, as a young kid growing up in South Central Los Angeles in the Crenshaw district, I mean, ridiculously teased, but not only just myself, but I saw that happening to my brothers. I saw that happening to my father. I saw that happening to my mom. In fact, there was a point in the conversation where this is unscripted, where Godfrey and I were talking, and we goes, but y'all Africans. And we kind of in sync and going like, wait, that came from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And that's the trauma that being a young African kid growing up, I couldn't hide from it, right? My name was Akbar Gbajabiamila. The first thing you knew, everybody was going to go off on me, right?
Yeah.
So I lived with that. I saw how people disrespected my father. I'm going, wait, bringing it up triggered a lot of people. You can't, how dare you say, appreciate, like, wait, my father.
Bringing it up triggered a lot of people because the conversation is being had one-sided. A lot of Africans is very disrespectful and nasty towards Black American because they came over here with a colonized mind. You guys don't talk you guys don't mention that. See, Kabir may have had a different experience because when we say that everybody African is not a tether, his father might not have been a tether. His father might have migrated here from Nigeria and was 10 toes down with Black people, right? So that might not have been his experience. But we know darn well in a lot of African houses, when they came here, they said, stay away from the Akata, stay away from those people, right? They had already had a preconceived notion about you because they came over here with a W supremacist mind. right? That's number one. Number two, right? Everything that we called you guys, we called each other that first. And Godfrey's going to prove this when he makes a certain statement. And we're going to unpack that, because y'all know me, no emotion involved. We sit, we listen, and we just deal with everything piece by piece. No emotion. I'm not upset with these brothers. I don't have to call them no names. I'm not even going to call them tethers. We're just going to deal with it piece by piece, because I'm on FBA business, right? So I don't have to disrespect anybody to get my point across. I don't have to get emotional to get my point across. And that's how we got to start moving. Check this out.
Contributed to it, and I get it that it was on the heels of the Immigrant National Act of 1965. I get that, but just because that was on the heels, does that mean my father is not to be appreciated in all the other immigrants?
No, I don't think it's, and
this is the backlash. This is the blowback. Yeah,
I know where you're going.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
because as much as I defend Black Americans, I get stuff where they'll go, "You're not Black American, you African,"
right?
And I go, "Eat a dick." How about that? That's what I do, because I'm like, what do you?
Now watch this. I'm gonna tell you how important that is. Godfrey does defend Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, and he made a statement that as much as he defends foundational Black Americans, he still get picked. You know, he still it's certain radical people online and places that still throw shots at Godfrey, right? And Godfrey said he goes eat a D, right? Watch this though. You know why Godfrey's a funny comedian and Michael Blackson? Because Godfrey along the way figured out foundational Black American culture, part of our culture. Once he start busting back, the people's busting on him start laughing, and he put their arm around him, like, because that's part of our culture. Part of our culture on the slave plantations, we bust on each other, and we did a lot of things to toughen you up to get you ready for that W, man, when you went out there to the world. We got the funniest comedians on the planet for a reason. We had the funniest comedians everywhere because we took things that was painful to us and made humor out of it. That was a coping mechanism of the way of survival. So he figured it out being raised in Chicago. They started him, he made it, man, get out of here. You know, he made the statement, right? And after that, that's why Godfrey gets it. Kabir doesn't, right? But let's proceed.
What are you talking about? I grew up in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's a very Black city.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's history of Black Americans is heavy. Jack and Jill, you got the Chicago Defender. A lot of stuff started in Chicago.
The Obamas.
You know, the Obamas, Minister Farrakhan, he's like Nation of Islam. There's so much just so much in Chicago. And my father was an educator for 45 years at Malcolm X College. You know what I mean?
That's pretty Black.
Yeah. Taught on the west side of Chicago.
Right.
Yeah. My father had adult education programs for gangster disciples, Blackstone Rangers, and vice lords. Gangbangers knew my dad. You don't get no, and cats be like, yeah, your dad taught me how to read, dog, for real. We got your pops. I mean, and my mother was a nurse an OB-GYN nurse who delivered so many people's babies. My mother was known in Chicago. So our Blackness was.
I love that Jimi Hendrix shirt too.
It was mended with Black Americans. Most of my friends were Black Americans. And of course there were immigrants, because in the area I lived in Chicago was the most integrated area in Chicago, because Chicago's the most segregated city till this day. And Milwaukee is second, which is not that far from Chicago. Yeah. So I was in both worlds, like you said, getting made fun of. They used to make fun of me all the time. And I remember this girl named Lois, and I will never forget her. I saw her not too long ago. I hadn't seen her in like 30 years. I remember I was mad about something. I was what 11, 12, and this girl Lois, she was heavy set at the time, and I remember she was treading water. We were at a swimming pool, and I said, she goes, "What's wrong, Gabriel?" I said, "Yeah, they keep making fun of me being African." And she goes, and I will never forget. She goes, "Well, at least their ancestors weren't slaves. See, at least you have something to connect to. They don't. It's coming." And I go, wow, that's the truth. She goes, that's coming from trauma. That's coming from insecurity.
Yeah,
but you don't understand that as a 12-year-old. You're just like, they're just making fun of me.
Most 40-year-olds don't understand.
Right, no doubt.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of our people hear that, they get upset, but don't get upset. See, the issue that we're having here is within the conversations, right? In my opinion, I don't feel like the brother that's sitting in the middle is the right brother to have sitting there, because he doesn't represent foundational Black American, right? He is a foundational Black American, but he's more on the he's not the person to have the conversation with when Akbar is saying that he doesn't like foundational Black American and he thinks that it's divisive, right? So this is the Africans' pushback to them for them saying that they were getting busted on. They say that we don't know where we come from. So now there's a conversation. That's all. There's a conversation. It's not nothing to be upset about. It is what it is. But let's proceed.
I was just going to add to that. This is like that trauma I get now as an adult, but I don't think a lot of, like Black Americans understand the trauma that also caused, because, if you're participating, and you saw it throughout movies, you saw it throughout music. I mean, all of it kind of crapped on the Black African immigrants who came to this. And anyone who denies it or says, as I saw in some of the comments, get over it. That was then. Whoa. Now we say get over it. Yeah. Now we say get over it. Like there's a conversation there, right? Like, so I'll let you get in on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a part of the curriculum. I mean, we have to understand everything we're talking about is kind of grounded in this white superiority ideology. No doubt. And remember, we're not talking about white people as individuals. We're talking about the curriculum that's created. So when African immigrants are told about Black Americans, they're told never be like Black Americans.
That's right.
When Black Americans are told about African immigrants, they say, at least you're not from there. And so there's this original story, this narrative that when a Black American man meets a Black African immigrant, they're both dealing with colonial trauma, yes. Yet neither of them has been told the same or the correct story of one another. And so that is the initial beef. And the ultimate goal of it is to maintain separation.
Now, I agree with that from that perspective. But Akbar is disingenuous because, see, what Akbar doesn't realize, and like me, I'm quiet and I like to unpack the story. When Akbar makes the statement that you guys picked on us, you guys did this, all in movies and everything else. Well, you was raised here. You saw that everything that happened to us, or we was doing to each other, we did to you, right? You wasn't picked on in movies. We were picked on in movies here. We were getting our heads kicked in. We were this. So you wasn't at this age, you're still not intelligent enough to know that we was ingratiating you into the culture. You was becoming one of us. We was accepting you in. Right, but because you see yourself and still you claim you don't see yourself as different, but you really do. See, if we be quiet and listen to a person, he'll tell you who he is. Him and Godfrey are like night and day, two totally different, right? They see it two totally different, right? Godfrey, you can look at Godfrey's shirt, the way Godfrey's educated. Godfrey can point out people like Marimba Ani and stuff like that. He read the books, he knows the story, right? Kabir doesn't. So Kabir is talking about what the African went through here in America, but he's not looking at it from the perspective of what the Black American been through here in America and what his fellow Africans say about Black America. See, because when that girl in that pool can say, well, they don't know where they come from, that comes from somewhere as well. Who taught her that? Where does that thought process come from? See, you can't fool me, but let's continue.
Between the entire diaspora. I mean, just think if we were able to get Accra, Lagos, Johannesburg, Atlanta, Oakland. I mean, in 1990, I'll never forget it. It was a few weeks before my 13th birthday. Public Enemy released Fear of a Black Planet.
We were in line for that.
Yeah. So I remember getting the cassette tape. Yeah, me too. And so, again, talking about being hindsight in 2020, the things that we don't understand is that Public Enemy was talking about Black geopolitics 35 years ago.
Yep.
Fear of a Black Planet literally transcribed everything we're talking about right now. When you think of Terror Dome,
I got so much trouble on my mind.
Hollywood Burn
with Big Daddy Kane and Ice Cube.
Yep. So this is not a new narrative. This is the same story that's been going on. And I think it's important to be able to see the source of the problem.
Let me say this. See, because this is the problem. Let me say this. And this needs to be said. When you take the emotion out, hold on. When you take the emotion out and you sit back and you listen to these brothers talk, right? And Kabir Gbajabiamila is talking about the trauma that he experienced by being picked on as a kid. But then in the same sentence, they invoke public enemy. Now, in that same time, where this conversation is not being had on good faith is, me and Godfrey is about the same age. Everything was about Africa. All the rap music. I remember not Rakim Shabazz, Poor Righteous Teacher, right? Paris from the West Coast, right? You had KRS One. Knowledge reigns supreme over everyone. Everything was situated towards Africa. King's Son, right? 1990, Free Mandela is a black thing. You better ask somebody, right? The medallions, the black fists up in the air with the froze. Everything was based off of some Afrocentric stuff. So for him to say that we just made fun of Africans, we had way more love. What I'm finding out is we had way more love for Africa than we have for our own contributions here in America. So this is where I'm saying where that brother is not the right person to deal in this conversation to really educate people. Because when if you want to invoke public enemy and fear of a black planet, you have to invoke the consciousness that was on the ground at that time. See, I don't play around, man. And like I said, no emotion. We just unpack it. But let's proceed. Let's proceed here.
This come from? What's the root of the problem?
Yeah, I would love to see, to me, when I think about this, like, hey, what's the resolution? Like being able to have more, and especially even if it's just in our Black community, being able to have the real education of, what happened in Africa. Like a lot of people don't even realize, like, Africa is still, and when we're talking about Africa that is cut up with 54 countries, they're still there. That's a new concept. Prior to them, there was not 54 countries. It was just.
I want y'all to listen. I want y'all to understand the miseducation and the hypocrisy, the miseducation. Now, for me, as an FBI, I don't hate this brother. I got love for the brother, but the brother's ignorant, right? The brother doesn't fully understand the history, right? So this is why on his show he need to get some brothers that's really grounded in the foundational Black Americans understanding. Right, on the show. This ain't about gangbanging. This ain't about hating Africans. It's about us having our own identity the same way you guys have your identity. You respect ours, we respect yours. But we got to have a conversation. So let's proceed.
There weren't borders.
There weren't borders. It's just one Africa with a bunch of different kingdoms that went around.
Yep.
But then, as we've talked about before, when you talk about the Berlin Conference and the mad dash,
slice it all up
and just slice it up, like, I mean, you're splitting straight down. It's like somebody coming down your house and splitting it straight down the middle and saying, nope, you have your. Like, yo, this is the same house, and now you got us fighting against each other.
Well, that means that a lot of you guys don't even know your lineage or how far it go back, because you've been mixed, matched, spread up, pushed around and everything before the Berlin Conference, during slavery, right? They was moving groups around the different places. And it was chaos in West Africa and Central Africa, all through the Kanem-Barnu Empire and everything else, right? A lot of us know the history, right? We got generations that go back to the 1600s here. A lot of you guys don't, because of what happened. We know what Flora Shaw and her husband Frederick did in Nigeria. Right, we know what Cecil Rhodes did in South Africa and all through up to Kenya. We know what Leopold did in the Congo, and Frederick Lagarde did in the Nigeria. And we go on and on and on. But I want y'all to watch this.
But when we start learning that history here in America, I think what it does is it balances it out, because I think there's a lot of the history here in America purposely not told. And I'm sure maybe it's the same back in Africa, where
of course
the American history isn't told.
Oh no.
And that is so. Not. And then what we do is we get them here and we get them fighting amongst each other. I think to me, I think straight up, it's the dumbest thing ever. Like
it's the smartest thing for them.
Right.
But the dumbest thing.
Yeah. So when all these clowns are like, you come in, no, bro, like, This is the wrong fight. You don't want that smoke. You don't want. It's not me you coming after. It's
I don't
not
understand why they messing with him. You went to NFL. That's black. I mean, that's as black as you get.
You risk CTE
The NFL,
for the
I
culture.
made it to the NFL. I played for the Raiders. I don't know how black you are. I played for the Raiders. I don't know how black you want me to get, brother.
So I want to talk about this because there's this term that I know people are not going to like this, but I don't like the term FBA because I think it is the most separatist term coined back in 2019 by
Was it Tariq Nasheed?
Yeah,
Tariq, I know
Nasheed.
Tariq.
And Tariq Nasheed coined this term, and maybe he had good intent because it's like, hey, how do we separate when it comes to reparations and being able to say, hey, this belonged to the black slaves that came to America and their descendants. And I get that. I get and understand that concept. But what it does, it furthers this idea of separation. Yeah. And I think back again to childhood and the stuff that even as an adult, like, I'm not African, I'm anything but African, right?
Now, let me address that with no emotion. In my 50 years of living here on the East Coast corridor, right here in Philadelphia, the first Black Renaissance, where you have Black people everywhere from all over the world here, right? So damn near Black utopia, Black people everywhere, right? You know how many Africans have told me I'm not African? I'm an American, and not in a disrespectful way, because they see themselves through their tribal lineage and their tribes. Yoruba and Igbos don't see themselves as the same people. Wolof and a Mandingo don't see themselves as the same people. Ashanti and a God don't see themselves as the same people. So for me, what I'm saying with the conversation is not in good faith, because you're saying that you think FBA is divisive in a system that was never together in the first place. Africa is divided and divisive towards each other, right? The Caribbean, Jamaicans and Trinidadians don't like each other. Neither one of them like Haitians, right? Guyanese and Jamaicans don't like each other. So Dominicans and Puerto Ricans and all this stuff. So you're trying to hold foundational Black Americans to a standard that nobody else in the world is held to. And this is why I'm saying where the conversation is not being had in good faith.
I got Indian in my blood. Yeah. I'm Creole. I'm anything but African. And so when you say foundationally Black American, it's like, yes, I can say I'm foundationally Black American and I am not you. I'm like, no. Because like my father used to tell me, I don't know what all these fuss is about. They are the same people. You guys are brothers.
Yeah.
And then like my dad said, y'all brother, man, we ain't your brother. We ain't African booty scratchers. No, but we look alike. No.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right.
Now again, we want to unpack that part. I live here in Philadelphia. I just showed y'all a video where that Golden Boy and Matt Nuclear was online. How many Africans come here and say they're African, but they show no representation of African or their culture? They don't speak their language. They got their nose all up of some W cooch, right? They don't wear no traditional garb. They totally abandon their culture and for W culture, and then come here and they're making a statement they're making about us. Right? Not when you guys show us that you don't want to be African. You flee from the African culture. And when you flee from the African country, you don't take the culture with you in front of us. But see, again, there's not enough pushback.
Cool. Well, this came into when reparations was being considered.
Yeah.
When reparations came in, they're like, how much are Black Americans owed?
It had to be codified.
Right. They're owed a lot.
Yeah.
They deserve
a lot.
The inventions in America are damn near all Black. Let's just keep it 100. All the stuff.
See, Godfrey not stupid, because Godfrey knows that his bread and butter and the way he came up the same way Michael Blackson did was through foundational Black Americans. So he's going to always bring Kabir back, right? Because he knows that we're watching.
The people are using, from the doorknob to the escalator to the elevator to
medical devices,
to pacemakers, to GPSs, to helicopter. We can just keep going. people are using it because a lot of white inventors were able to steal patents. Like Thomas Edison stole patents.
Yeah, sure.
Louis Latimer's patent, they stole all of it.
Yep.
So they deserve reparations. Foundation, I believe that.
100%.
Black Americans, you deserve it. Now, if there's some money left, you can give it to us because we will call. So they
gonna come after you.
I called the N-word. I got called the N-word in my honors English class. What you talking about? I'm like, I get some money. Don't I get some trauma?
I say spread that you say.
I get N-word trauma.
If there's leftover,
unless they were pronouncing Nigeria wrong. I was like, it's only 1 G, man. It's not 2 G's.
I was working in Serbia, and this dude yelled at me from across the road, "Hey, N-word." In Serbia, and it wasn't like N-word, get out of here. It was more like, I've heard some Jay-Z, Kendrick Lamar songs. Yeah. So about Foundation of Black Americans. No, I was like,
all right, man, I just want to be my brother.
Off guard. It caught me off guard. And it was a hard R too.
Do we? The question is, do we like the term FBA?
So it's not a matter of whether we like it. Let's talk about where it originated. You both talked about reparations. Another place where it came from was this acronym of BIPOC, the Black, Indigenous, People of Color. This whole propensity to throw everybody into one bucket, and Black Americans felt like being thrown into that bucket was going to kind of erase some of the historical context associated specifically with Black Americans. But the problem is that you all just mentioned is even though the coining of the term is valuable. If we're looking at reparations, and some municipalities are doing that, they have to codify who is in line or aligned to get this. Makes sense. The problem is people are using it instead of a bridge, they're using it as a border to keep people separate. And that can happen with any.
But see, they're saying that we're using it as a border to keep people separate. That's a lie. I just told you, Lakim Shabazz is a black thing you wouldn't recognize. The black fist with the red, black, and green medallion, marching in the street in 1990, free Mandela, right? No, see, this is what I'm saying. Where this guy is being disingenuous and he's not giving a pushback. We've always had our arms open to Africans. Okay, we bust on Africans when they was little. Africans wasn't running for their lives from Black Americans. No. Africans wasn't getting unalived at large rates from Black Americans. That's a lie. You guys came here and built communities and separated from us. Right? When we go to Africa to ingratiate into the culture with you. When you come here to separate from us. So no, the brother's not giving the right pushback when dealing with FBA. He didn't tell the truth. So what I would implore these guys, if you really want to have a genuine conversation in good faith, right? Bring a brother on here that's well versed in what FBA is actually doing.
Anything. So it's not really about the term, it's about how do we allow white superiority ideology to infiltrate the term? Right. How do we allow that to police how we behave and how we interface with one another? And that's the problem. And so we get this new thing and we're just putting it right in the same pot that we're using to separate from one another. And that's the challenge. Every time
So I'm gonna stop it there. I'm gonna stop it there because I'm gonna break a lot of this down in my next live stream. But again, like they like to use this W supremacist ideology and talking points in regards to us. We're the troublemakers, right? We're not the troublemakers. We're just going against the status quo. That's all we're doing. We're not aligning ourselves with an ideology or a thought process or a dream that we know that hasn't worked and it's not working. Right? And how many times have we said we don't hate Africans or Caribbeans, we just want our own identity, the same way you guys. Because if you don't want us to be foundational Black Americans, then don't be Igbo, don't be Hausa, don't be Yoruba, don't be Fulani, don't be Ashanti, don't be Akan, don't be Wolof, don't be Mandingo, don't be none of these tribes. Then and just be Black. But no, you want to hold on to your culture while saying we don't have a culture. A win for us is a win for you, but a win for you is a win for you. We're not going for that no more, man. So look forward to my live stream I got coming up on this, man. This is, like I said, I'm not mad at these brothers. It's a good conversation. I'm glad they having the conversation. I would just ask those brothers to get a foundational Black American brother up there that's well versed in what we're doing, and then we can push the conversation along. right? I walk in love. I don't walk in anger and hate. I know we got some radical FBAs on over, out here that's just acting crazy, and some of them may be bots because, like I said, we're not walking in hate. We just want our own identity. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comment section. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time, peace.